A luxury flagship dealership is supposed to be the pinnacle of customer service, a place where every guest is welcomed with respect, regardless of what they happen to be wearing when they walk through the doors. But for one senior floor manager, courtesy was never something extended freely. It was a privilege reserved strictly for people who looked wealthy before they had uttered a single word. A young woman wearing a plain cream-colored wool sweater, dark work trousers, and scuffed leather boots walked into the city's premier automotive showroom. She approached the display floor and quietly asked to see the keys to the limited edition electric supercar parked front and center under the showroom lights. The floor manager looked her up and down once, smirked with practiced arrogance, and informed her that the vehicle was reserved exclusively for serious buyers with pre-verified financial backgrounds. He then pointed toward the pre-owned hatchback section across the street, suggesting she might find something more suited to her budget. What he didn't know was that the woman he had just quietly dismissed was the founder and chief executive officer of a private equity group that had signed the final purchase agreement 3 days prior, making her the majority owner of the dealership, the real estate it occupied, and the parent distribution network across 4 regions. Before we get into the full story, comment down below where you are watching from today, and subscribe to Silent Empires so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get into it. Apex Motors had stood at the corner of the city's commercial avenue for over 25 years. It was widely regarded as the ultimate destination for luxury high-performance vehicles. The showroom floor was immaculate, polished marble flooring, custom architectural lighting, and double-paned glass windows that overlooked the skyline. For nearly 15 of those years, the showroom floor was managed by a man named Marcus Sterling. Marcus was a man who considered himself an expert in human evaluation. He often boasted to junior salespeople that he could determine a customer's bank account within 3 seconds of watching them step out of their vehicle or walk through the front glass doors. In Marcus's mind, true wealth always announced itself. It wore bespoke Italian suits, carried custom leather briefcases, and wore luxury watches that caught the showroom spotlight. Anyone who didn't fit that rigid visual standard was, in Marcus's eyes, a tourist, someone taking up space, wasting air conditioning, and distracting his sales team from closing high-commission deals. What Marcus never realized was that the world of extreme wealth had changed drastically over the past decade. The era of loud, flashy displays of status had largely given way to quiet, understated capital. And nobody embodied that quiet capital better than Maya Lin. Maya was 31 years old, the daughter of a hard-working independent diesel mechanic who had spent 40 years getting his hands dirty in a small 3-bay shop on the edge of town. Maya had grown up around cars, grease, and hard labor. But she had also inherited her father's obsessive work ethic and sharp analytical mind. After completing her degree in financial engineering, Maya started a modest investment syndicate. Over 12 years of quiet, strategic moves, she built her firm into a dominant force in commercial restructuring and automotive supply chain acquisitions. Despite managing hundreds of millions of dollars in private assets, Maya never wore flashy designer labels. She lived modestly, drove a 10-year-old reliable sedan when she wasn't testing prototypes, and preferred comfortable, durable clothing. To anyone who didn't know her name, she looked like an ordinary, working-class young woman. At 2:30 p.m. on a rainy Thursday afternoon, Maya walked through the grand entrance of Apex Motors. She carried only a simple leather satchel under her arm. Her hair was pulled back into a simple clip, her cream wool sweater was warm but unremarkable, and her boots still held a faint trace of damp soil from an early morning site visit to an auto parts warehouse. She spent a few quiet minutes walking along the pristine floor, observing how the staff interacted with clients. Near the center display, 2 young sales associates were standing near a glass desk, leaning against the counter and scrolling on their phones while ignoring a couple browsing near the entry. Maya walked over to the crown jewel of the dealership, the Apex Valorous, a handcrafted electric supercar valued at $1.4 million. Only 40 units existed worldwide. As Maya stood by the car, studying the carbon fiber weave along the front splitter, Marcus Sterling approached. He adjusted his tailored jacket, smoothed his silk tie, and offered a cold, mechanical smile. "Good afternoon," Marcus said, his voice dripping with smooth, practiced condescension. "Can I direct you toward our customer waiting lounge if you're waiting for someone who's having their car serviced? The complimentary coffee bar is located around the corner." Maya looked up from the car, her expression calm and neutral. "I'm not waiting for service, thank you. I'd actually like to see the interior specifications for the Valorous, and if possible, arrange a brief test drive." Marcus let out a short, quiet chuckle, the kind of laugh meant to make someone feel instantly small without causing a public scene. "The Valorous," Marcus repeated, leaning slightly closer. "I appreciate the enthusiasm, Miss Truly. But I need to be completely transparent with you. That vehicle is not a showroom prop. It is a highly specialized piece of engineering reserved for our VIP registry clients with long-standing purchase histories with Apex Motors." "I'm aware of what the car is," Maya replied evenly, "and I am asking to view the interior and verify the battery management system specifications." Marcus's smile faded slightly, replaced by a look of stern annoyance. "Miss, let's not waste each other's time here. The entry deposit just to request an allocation on this car is $200,000. The insurance verification alone requires a comprehensive financial check. We have a pre-owned lot 2 miles down the highway. They have several very reliable compacts that I'm sure would fit your day-to-day needs much better." Maya didn't shift her posture. "You haven't asked for my name, my identification, or my financial documentation. You've simply decided I can't afford to be standing near this vehicle." "I've been managing luxury showrooms for 15 years, Marcus said, lowering his voice into a sharp, dismissive tone. "I don't need to see documentation to recognize when a visitor is out of their depth. Your outfit alone tells me everything I need to know about today's visit. Now, I must ask you to step back from the display area. We are expecting a genuine buyer in 10 minutes. Before Marcus could gesture for floor security, the glass automatic doors at the main entrance slid open. A group of 3 senior executives in dark charcoal suits walked briskly into the showroom. At the front of the group was David Vance, the longtime regional director of operations for the entire dealership network, looking pale and holding an official leather-bound folder. Marcus immediately snapped into attention, adjusting his posture and stepping away from Maya with a welcoming smile. "Mr. Vance. Welcome. We weren't expecting you on the floor until the regional management meeting tomorrow." David didn't even look at Marcus. His eyes scanned the floor frantically until they landed directly on Maya, standing calmly beside the Valorous. David breathed a visible sigh of relief and rushed forward, completely stepping past Marcus. "Miss Lin," David said, his voice tight with nervous respect. "My sincere apologies for the delay. Traffic from the airport was absolute gridlock. I hope you haven't been waiting long." Marcus froze mid-step. His eyes darted between David and Maya, confusion washing over his face. "David, excuse me, but do you know this woman? She was just asking for a test drive in the Valorous without any appointment or background check." David turned to Marcus, his expression instantly hardening into pure outrage. "Marcus, be quiet immediately." "I beg your pardon," Marcus stammered, his polished composure completely shattering. "I was simply enforcing our floor security protocol regarding high-value inventory. She doesn't have an account here." "She doesn't need an account here, Marcus. David interrupted, his voice echoing across the silent showroom floor, causing several sales associates and browsing customers to turn and look. Miss Lin is the managing partner of the Lin Capital Holding Group. As of Monday morning, her firm completed the acquisition of 80% controlling shares in Apex Automotive Group. She owns this showroom, the building, the inventory, and the regional franchise rights. The entire showroom seemed to drop into dead silence. The two sales associates behind the desk dropped their phones onto the counter. Marcus stood frozen as if struck by lightning. His hand, which had been raised to point toward the door, hung limp in the air. His face drained of all color as he looked at Maya's plain cream sweater, then at her scuffed boots, and finally into her calm, unbothered eyes. She owns. Marcus whispered, his voice trembling uncontrollably. That isn't possible. Ownership transfers take months to communicate to store managers. Miss Lin specifically requested an unannounced walkthrough of the sales floor today, David said grimly, looking at Marcus with complete disappointment. She wanted to observe firsthand how walk-in clients are received when they don't arrive with a corporate entourage or luxury brand logos. Maya stepped forward slowly, her hands folded calmly in front of her. She looked at Marcus, her tone quiet, precise, and completely devoid of anger. In less than 4 minutes, Mr. Sterling, Maya said, you made 4 separate assumptions about who I was, what I earned, and what I deserved based entirely on my sweater and my boots. You didn't ask a single professional question. You didn't attempt to build a relationship. You simply tried to dismiss me because I didn't fit your idea of wealth. Marcus swallowed hard, his throat dry. Miss Lin, please. I had no idea who you were. If I had known your status, I would have prepared the private executive lounge immediately. And that, Maya interrupted softly, is the core of the problem. Respect shouldn't depend on whether you know my bank account balance. It should be the baseline standard for every person who walks through that door. That afternoon, Maya didn't throw a public scene. She walked into the manager's office with David Vance and requested a complete 3-year review of all customer feedback, walk-in interaction logs, and commission structures for the location. The audit revealed a long-standing pattern. Over 30 documented complaints had been filed against Marcus Sterling by ordinary customers who had been turned away, spoken down to, or denied basic test drives, many of whom went on to purchase luxury vehicles from competing dealerships down the street. End of the week, Marcus Sterling was officially relieved of his duties as floor manager. The dealership's training curriculum was completely overhauled, shifting the focus away from superficial judgment and toward genuine hospitality. People who rely on visual status to measure human worth almost always miss the true power standing right in front of them. Never judge someone's position by the simplicity of their clothes or the quiet way they move. You never know if the person standing in the simple sweater is the one who holds the keys to the entire empire. If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button and subscribe to Silent Empire for more stories of quiet strength, sudden turns, and ultimate accountability. See you in the next one.